My name is Carmen Walters. I attended Xavier University for the first 3 years of college. Did very well, loved it, but my parents, having 13 children, had 4 kids in college at one time. I transferred to SUNO, which is right down the street, basically, and then went back to Xavier and got my master's there and ended up getting my PhD at Mississippi State. That's a very good question. I went to school in Jefferson Parish. That's the West Bank of Orleans, New Orleans in Louisiana. So during the times that I went to school, segregation had ended, but in some of the smaller areas of Louisiana, there was still a concern. So we had public schools that were segregated by gender. So I went to an all-girl public school all of my life. I never went to school with boys until I went to college. And my principal at the time, Dr. Butler, she had attended Xavier, and she and my mother were friends. And she would say, you're gonna fit. This is a fit for you. You have to go to Xavier. And she made me go to the library and do the research on it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to school where Dr. Butler went. And it was fabulous. I loved it. So my most memorable moment was when I learned that I had some math skills that were deficient. And it was a Catholic school, and so my instructor was a nun. And she said to me, you have it, you can do it, but you're just missing some things, and I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to help you do this. So she took me to a little lab. It was just the 2 of us, and we did that for like 2 months. And I kept asking her, what do I need to pay you? How much should I pay you? And I went home to tell my parents, she's doing all this and I know I'm gonna owe her this money, but she hasn't given me her bill yet. And I didn't realize that that's just what they do at HBCUs. They help students, they meet you where you are and help to get you where you need to be. What surprised me most, because I had gone to school in Jefferson Parish, predominantly white environment, what surprised me most was that everyone looked like me, everyone sounded like me. I didn't have to really worry about fitting in. It was just like talking to friends all the time. That surprised me most, but I think if I look back on it, it really was the instruction. Just knowing that you could go to the office, you could talk to them in the hallways, you could see them at the rush party, whatever, and faculty were there for you. So I think that's the biggest piece that I will always cherish. Well, I'll tell you what I say to them. There are hundreds of colleges, so about 4,700 if you count universities and community colleges. And so HBCUs make up 3% of that big number. So that's a small amount of schools. That's about 1,007, 1,004 schools. So what I tell them is, if you come to an HBCU, you're going to be in an environment that's small enough for everybody to know your name. And it's big enough to take you anywhere you want to go in the world. And so I asked them, give me 1 semester. Just give me 1 semester. And if you don't like it, you can transfer. And usually students end up graduating because they get here and they feel it and they know, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I am going to be me, and people are going to appreciate the me. So I worked in very large community colleges, and this last community college, I became very close to my president from the day she hired me. When I walked in for the interview, there were about 15 people around the table asking questions. And one of the things they asked, well, what are your future goals? What do you want to do? And without hesitation, I said, I want to be a president of a college, preferably an HBCU. And she said, I love that. In the interview, she goes, I love that. I could see you doing that. So I walked out thinking, I didn't get that job. And right away, she called me back and she hired me. And she said to me, you're going to be wonderful with us, and I'm going to help you reach your goal of being a president. And I thought, this is great. I want to work with you. And so I did that. I worked with her. And every time I was asked to participate in an interview for a job, she would say, I want to be your reference. I want to write you a letter. I don't want you to leave me, but you're going to be wonderful. She'd always say that. So it was always my goal to do this. My children went to an HBCU. All of my brothers and sisters went. My husband's family. So it's just where I knew I belonged, but I really had to go through all those processes in the path to get here. Everything I've learned in those other jobs prepared me to do what I'm doing today. So it was never a question of where I was going to end up. I just didn't know if it was going to be here or at another place. And when this job came along, I really thought, if I get an interview, that would be a mountaintop experience. So to actually be offered the position was all God. Yes. First, I want to thank the sorority. I want to thank Dr. Glover and all of the other fraternities and sororities who are focusing on HBCUs. I'm thankful that they get it, that they came through the story, that they know what's happening, why it's important. And so thank you guys for doing that. I also want to thank every person who value the work that we do at the HBCUs. And I want to thank every student who said yes to a recruiter from an HBCU. So I just want to thank students, and I want them to know that Tougaloo College is open for business, and that they are welcome to come and visit us, come see what we have to offer. I will end with this. 34% of the doctors in Mississippi are Tougaloo grads. Close to 40% of the lawyers in Mississippi are Tougaloo grads. And so if students understand that opportunity awaits them at the HBCU of their choice, then I think we have done our work.